You have likely seen the post on your social media feed. A friend sharing a photo of a laptop on a beach or a sleek car, promising you can achieve financial freedom by becoming your own boss. It feels like a modern business opportunity, especially when they talk about the prestige of being a CEO. You assume that if you put in the work, you will control your own destiny. But the reality is that this is not a business. It is a customer acquisition strategy disguised as a career path. The mechanism at play is the illusion of control. By making you feel responsible for your success, the system bypasses your critical thinking and masks the structural impossibility of market saturation. If a business model requires you to pay to work, it is not a business. When you are forced to purchase your own inventory or pay training fees just to gain access to a sales portal, you are not an entrepreneur. You are a customer being sold a dream of employment that the company has no intention of fulfilling. This distinction is vital because it changes your role from a business owner to a revenue source for the company's upper echelon. You might think being recruited by a friend or family member is a sign of a genuine opportunity. You trust these people, so your natural skepticism is lowered. The truth is that this is a calculated exploitation of your social capital. The organization knows you would never listen to a stranger, so they use your existing trust to bypass the vetting process. By turning personal relationships into a sales funnel, they ensure you are less likely to ask hard questions about the math. Treat these pitches with the same cold scrutiny you would apply to an unsolicited call from a stranger, because once you hand over money for a starter kit, you feel a heavy sense of personal commitment. This social leverage is the most insidious part of the recruitment process. When a friend approaches you, they are often not acting out of malice, but out of a desperate need to recoup their own losses by recruiting you. They have been coached to view their entire contact list as leads, effectively commodifying their own social circle. If you find yourself feeling guilty for saying no, remember that a legitimate business opportunity would never require you to leverage your personal relationships to survive. You look at the $500 on your credit card statement and tell yourself you must make that money back. You convince yourself that walking away means throwing cash into a fire, so you stay the course to justify the expense. This is the classic sunk cost fallacy. The mechanism here is a psychological escalation of commitment where you double down on a failing venture to avoid the pain of admitting a mistake. You keep pouring time and money into a hole because you're terrified of losing what you already spent. The only way out is the cut your losses rule: never let past spending dictate future decisions. If you find yourself justifying a bad investment by saying, "I've already put so much into this," you're falling into a trap that will only lead to further financial depletion. The money is already gone. Staying in the system will not bring it back, but it will certainly cost you more time, energy, and potentially more capital. True business acumen involves recognizing when a venture is fundamentally flawed and having the courage to pivot or exit entirely before the damage becomes irreversible. As you scroll, you see endless photos of top earners lounging on private beaches or posing in luxury cars. It feels like success is common, but you're falling for the availability heuristic. These companies showcase the top 1% to make you ignore the 99% who are losing money. The mechanism is a statistical illusion that masks a massive failure rate by highlighting rare outliers. Stop looking at curated lifestyle photos and start hunting for the income disclosure statement. This fine print document reveals the dismal average earnings the company wants you to overlook. Once you look past the flash, you will notice these companies often point to their physical products as proof of legitimacy. They will show you a bottle of supplements or a piece of jewelry and claim that because the item exists, the business model must be sound. However, the existence of a product does not validate the business model. If the product is overpriced, low quality, or simply a vehicle for the recruitment scheme, its physical presence is irrelevant to the financial viability of your participation. It seems reasonable to assume that because they sell vitamins or gadgets, they must be a standard retail business. The reality is that the product is often a secondary component designed to provide a thin veneer of legality. The mechanism is inventory loading. In this model, revenue does not come from selling goods to everyday customers. Money flows upward because new distributors are pressured to buy massive amounts of stock to qualify for bonuses. They are the company's only real customers. If the company makes more money from its members than from outside retail sales, it is a pyramid structure. You are not building a business, you are buying inventory that will sit in your garage forever. This inventory loading is a predatory tactic that shifts the financial risk from the corporation to the individual distributor. By forcing you to purchase stock up front, the company guarantees its own profit, regardless of whether you ever sell a single item to a real consumer. This is the antithesis of a healthy retail business, where the company assumes the risk of unsold inventory. When you hit a rough patch, you're often told that your struggle is a result of not manifesting your goals or having a negative mindset. This is a calculated gaslighting technique designed to silence valid concerns. The mechanism is a shift of blame that moves the focus away from the company's broken model and places the burden of failure onto your character. By framing your lack of profit as a mental deficiency, they make you feel responsible for the system's flaws. If a company blames your mindset for a lack of sales, it is a red flag. You are failing because the system is rigged. This psychological manipulation is designed to keep you compliant and hopeful, preventing you from analyzing the structural barriers that make success statistically impossible for the vast majority of participants. When you internalize this blame, you stop questioning the company's policies and start questioning your own worth, which is exactly what they want. You might notice you're pulling away from friends and family because they do not support your dream. This is a classic isolation tactic used by predatory groups to control your environment. The mechanism works by creating a rigid us versus them mentality that seals you off from outside perspectives. By labeling loved ones as unsupportive, the organization ensures you stop hearing the reality checks that might expose their scheme. They want you to rely entirely on their community for validation. Maintain your external support network at all costs. If a business asks you to cut off friends or family, it is a trap. This isolation is dangerous because it removes the objective voices in your life who can see the situation clearly. When you are surrounded only by people who are financially incentivized to keep you in the system, you lose your ability to perceive the reality of your financial situation. Your friends and family are not haters. They are the people who care about your well-being and are likely seeing the warning signs that you have been conditioned to ignore. Finally, consider the most dangerous red flag, the focus on recruitment. You are told your primary job is to build a team. It feels like a standard way to grow, but in any sustainable business, the product is the goal. If the model relies on signing up others to do the same thing, you are looking at a pyramid scheme. The mechanism is the infinite chain requirement, which collapses because there is a finite number of people in the world. Ask yourself if you would do this work if you were forbidden from recruiting. If the answer is no, walk away. You now have the framework to spot these tactics before they cost you a cent. These systems rely on your silence and shame. By understanding the sunk cost fallacy and the exploitation of your social circle, you strip them of their power. Use your drive for something that actually pays you, not something that costs you your savings and friendships. Your skepticism is your best financial defense. Remember that true wealth is built through value creation, not through the extraction of capital from your peers. When you prioritize your own financial health over the empty promises of a get-rich-quick scheme, you protect your future and maintain the integrity of your personal relationships. Do not let the allure of an easy path lead you into a cycle of debt and isolation. Instead, invest your time and resources into ventures that offer transparency, sustainable growth, and genuine value to the world. Your future self will thank you for the skepticism you exercise today.